Writer's Corner is made possible thanks to the following sponsors. Jaime's Haberdashery of St. Paul has become an anchor of the downtown business community. A modern store with classic decor, it provides everything in clothing, both custom and tailored, plus offers a huge selection for both men and women. There is now also a Jaime's in Red Wing. Calumet Editions, an eclectic publisher of fiction, non-fiction, and poetry, introduced a new business model nearly a decade ago, in which the publisher and author work as equal partners in a joint venture. Their stable of authors have won numerous and prestigious prizes across literary forums. Where traditional publishers fail to see the value in projects, Calumet cooperates with its authors in realizing a book's potential.
Welcome. Writer's Corner returns. Alan Miller with you. And, well, there's a tinge of sadness here because we are losing our facility here. Time marches on. Thomson Reuters is selling this facility to the Ryan companies, and this will be our last Writer's Corner from here. Now we're looking forward to moving to a really fine new facility at Egan High School, but that will be down the road next month and thereafter. We're very lucky to have with us two really accomplished writers today. Christine Husom, who was here as a guest on our first show, and now she's saying goodbye on our last show, and Mike Faricy, who is known as the author of The Bazaar, and he has more books than we have fingers and toes. So we will introduce them. Christine has a new book out, Deputy 714 is Down. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, but it really hits home for the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office when one of their own is gunned down in a cafe, and that starts, you know, all hands on deck to find out, you know, why would that deputy be targeted? Was he targeted, or was it a random act? And so it's yeah. It's touch and go for a while, but
it wends its way through multiple killings. They're all tied up to one class of deputies in training, and we won't tell you any more than that about it, but it certainly is intriguing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the timeliness of deputies getting shot based on last week's Burnsville incident is really sad and unfortunate.
It's very sad. Yes.
Now, Mike, on the other hand, has, what, 4 series?
I have 4, 2 of which are put to bed, so I still have 2 series that are active, and I go from, you know, one series and then back to the other and then back and forth. So,
the Master of the Bazaar, which 2 are still going?
The first one is the Dev Haskell Private Investigator series,
right.
And then the second series is Jack Dillon, Dublin Tales, and that's a U.S. Marshal who has, through an incident, is assigned to On Garda Síochána, which is the Dublin police force. And he works with them on special investigations.
And he likes it so much that he stays in Dublin.
And he's been there for quite a while, yeah, yeah.
And I know an author by the name of Mike Faricy, who also spends half his time in Dublin.
That is correct, yes. I met and married a woman who lives in Dublin, and God bless her, she's patient. And so I'm there part of the year, not all at once, but we go back and forth. When she's had enough of me, I suddenly find myself in the Dublin airport with my luggage, and you know, it's time to leave. So
This is number 10 of the Winnebago series. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Right. You've got 14 books out?
14 books out, 4 in the Snow Globe Shop Mysteries. So I'll be working on the next Snow Globe and the next Winnebago coming up this year. Yep.
And Deputy 714 is down. It just came out recently?
Yep, it came out in December.
Right.
So pretty recent.
Very intriguing, not only title, but subject matter as I got into it. Mike, I'm afraid to ask how many books you have out.
76, and then the next one is at the editors right now. So,
how do you do it?
well, it makes me the most boring guy in town. I just have a routine. Christine, I'm sure we all have routines, and mine is I get up in the morning and post some ads for whatever book I'm doing a special on or has just been released. And then I start writing, and the beginning of beginning to write is reading what I wrote yesterday. And I write 7 days a week, and I love doing it. So I'm blessed to be able to work at something that I love to do.
And in terms of number of words, how many in most of your books?
I have a brother who did very well on the internet, and he ran a company that that actually created the NHL website and the NASCAR website. And he's given me advice, and he said, set your goal for 60,000 words, which that is my goal, and I'm usually finishing up at right around 70 or 72, because I never follow directions completely. So, but that's it. And then I send it through a series of editors and stuff. And then amazingly, 2 years later, someone's going to contact me and let me know that I spelled my name wrong at the end of the book or something.
I think everybody goes through that who writes and gets these latter-day corrections. Christine, what about yours? Average words and...
my shortest one ended up being like 64,000, and my longest one is like 90. So they're right in the 85,000 words. The Snow Globes are still in that close to 80,000 words. So they vary a little bit depending on, but for that 64,000 word book, it's like that was a story. So I couldn't really embellish it more than that. So it's just one of those, it's based on actually still an unsolved cold case from 1993 that happened, loosely based on that.
You have a long history in Winnebago County.
Yes, so Winnebago County is really thinly disguised Wright County to protect the guilty out there. I work for the sheriff's office, and my first 3 books are based on actual incidents that happened when I worked there. And as I said, the second one is still an unsolved cold case that I hope someday, someone just made a podcast about that particular murder, and so it'd be, somebody knows something. So if all these unsolved cases, someone knows something, if they could just come forward. But probably the bad guy is probably the one that is holding all the information. So yeah.
Now, Mike, what about yours? Are they contemporary? Do you use actual events? Do you play around with events?
I play around with events, and if it's an actual event, that's broadly stated. Nothing really specific. I write theoretically with a sense of humor, and so it would not be uncommon in my Dev Haskell series that there isn't necessarily a murder, but there is some sort of crime going on. I have a local crime lord by the name of Tubby Gustafson, who oftentimes gets on the phone, and the next thing Dev Haskell knows is he's working for free on something that Tubby's wants investigated or information on. And then my Irish series is a bit more serious, but hopefully still some humor in there. Again, more crimes, possibly some kidnappings, not necessarily murders. Again, loosely, oftentimes related to an actual incident, but unless you knew that I had done that, it's not that specific.
Let's talk about crafting your characters. How do you go about crafting a character?
So yes, I mean, the characters are the heart of my stories, and Kathy Yardley had written that you need to have a good handle of who your characters are. I mean, because characters are plot's characters, and so I with my Winnebagos, I mean, I thought about them for a long time. So I mean, I took some notes, but I just was formulating them in my mind, and so they just, for me, they're like real people. When I'm writing, I feel like I'm walking beside them, I'm listening to them, and dialogue is another real important thing. So I can hear their voices, and sometimes a character will say something. It's like, no, that's not the way he'd say it. That's not a word that he'd use. So I had gone to a workshop one time, and we did a What a Character worksheet. And it was very helpful when I got my 3-book deal with Penguin Random House for my Snow Globe Shop Mysteries, because you get like a year to write the book, and it doesn't come out for another year. And so it's a space in between. And with that, it was so helpful to, well, obviously we all know with their characters, their name, their age, their occupation, but also what's their education, what's their who's their family, do they have pets, what's their best memory, what's their worst memory, what's their goal, what's the obstacle to the goal, so hobbies, so there's all these things. You have that, you can really work out the character, and the characters do help you form the plot. So, I mean, like in my Snow Globe Shop Mysteries, Pinky is just this, kind of tall, dramatic person that's like kind of a gossip. And so she's fun because she can give, add some humor to it. I mean, as you mentioned humor, I think you have to have, in every book, it can't be all serious. There has to be some light moments, there has to be some humor, there has to be probably romance, so yeah, they're all those things are blended in, but
as we step over the bodies, yes. What about you, Mike?
Well, my same thing as Christine said. There's a formula for the characters. And actually, when I'm writing, I have a file with everything from hair color to weight to the type of car they're driving, where they live, that sort of thing, that I go back to constantly. One of my formats is I started out writing the Dev Haskell series for crabby old guys like myself. Amazingly, or maybe not amazingly, the majority of my readers are women. And in all my Dev Haskell books, one of the things that happens is he starts a relationship with a woman who, by the end of the book, says something along the lines of, "Please, don't ever call me or contact me again. I don't want to hear from you." And I hear from women who say, "Yes, I understand this because..."
That's an ongoing theme in the book.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Now, one of those women might reappear 2 or 3 or 5 books later, and then she ends up with the same response by the end of it, that, please, no. Then he has an on-again, off-again relationship with a woman who never says that, but basically moves on and then reappears later. Yeah, that's it.
Christine, What about you? You have certainly some characters who run right through the Winnebago series.
They're all, most all of the characters are, well, in most of the books. But yeah, Sergeant Corinne Corky Alexson is the young sergeant with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office. And she's got this heart for her victims, so she really works for them. But she knows she doesn't know everything, so she relies a lot on her mentor, Detective Elton Dawes, Smoke. And of course, their relationship is weaves throughout the books. But
sort of on
she's
again,
also
off
got
again?
kind of, yeah. They keep kind of moving toward it, but yeah. But there's obstacles because he's a lot older than she is, and so that's more obstacles on his part than on her part. But yeah, she's got her paternal grandparents, her maternal grandfather, her brother who's in Colorado, and so there's a lot of other personnel, the sheriff and deputies that, again, there's one that she couldn't stand, and now she's one of her best friends. So you have those relationships that are fun to watch, and certainly I think that's one of the things that readers want too. They want to, okay, my very first book club I went to, here I wrote this mystery, and the question I got asked was, so who does Corky choose? Smoke or Nick? It's like, okay, that's what they're interested in too. They want to know about the personal relationships, and that's a real big part of it.
And they want continuity.
They do, yep.
Yeah. They want to follow these characters through different adventures.
Yep.
And Mike runs into the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Does she end up with a crime or a victim of some sort that she knew previously, maybe in high school, or a neighbor, or? Not
yet. I'm trying to think. There's things that are going on, I've seen too, but no. So the first close person to her that's a victim is Deputy Weber. So, and he's just a fun character. He's sarcastic, and he's, kind of one-liner cracker, and so it's just like, and one of her dearest friends in the sheriff's office. So, yeah.
What's your writing time? You have another life, obviously, and it takes time to write these books and to rewrite them and to edit them and etc. So how do you go about it?
I had planned to have a regular writing schedule, but I haven't found that yet. That's really my goal, to do what Mike does, to get up and, write for however many hours to get to your word count, but he
can write it on a plane. He spends so much time on a plane. He can write his books back and
it's kind
forth
of funny
across the ocean.
I'm not able to outline. I'm not able to storyboard. But people, it's kind of funny. I've seen comments or reviews that they have said, "Oh, this is a well plotted book," and blah blah blah. It's like, well, because I'm kind of plotting as I'm going. But I always know my crime, I know my bad guy, I know the beginning, I know how it has to end. I just don't know, the detours or whatever along the way. And it's kind of part of the adventure, I guess.
So you try to set aside some time every day?
I'm working on something in the book industry. It might be more marketing or that kind of thing, but when I'm writing, I can spend, especially as it gets toward the end, just 14, 16 hours and just there, get up and maybe...
It speeds up and you speed up.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. But yeah, so I look forward to, because I miss my characters when I'm not I'm thinking about them, not as much as I do my family, but I'm thinking about my characters a lot, and when I can get back with them and spend time with them, it's fun. It's kind of part of the joy of it. among the hard work.
Yeah.
Do you actually write on the plane? You spend so much time going back and forth.
I will either be writing on the plane or reading what I wrote previously. Yeah, it just makes the trip go faster, and I'm unable to sleep on a plane. So, yeah.
I do the same thing that you do. I look at yesterday's work before I start today's work.
I usually do too.
And do a lot of editing that way.
Yeah.
Yep, kind of.
The other thing I have is I used to call it an outline. It is anything but. It's just a laundry list of things, either a reminder that down the road this has to be taken care of, or this needs to happen next. And it's just a list, and as I accomplish one of those things the next day or the next week, I delete it from the list, and that's how I operate. So
I try to write around contemporary events, as I did with the holding court, which has a lot of Supreme Court in it, based on my background, and then the second book, Reluctant Madonna, which has several plots. In fact, I was chastised because I have too many subplots in the book. But I went ahead and did it that way anyway. And sometimes I don't know the ending.
Some authors don't. But
that's a problem with the one that I just started working on again, the third in this series. And it came to me the other night. Most of my ideas come to me, by the way, between 2 and 4 in the morning. 2 o'clock, I get up to go to the bathroom, and then I'm up for 2 hours. And that's when most of my ideas come to me. I have a pad at bedside, and I'm writing down from 2 to 4 in the morning, which can be very unnerving to a partner. But it seems to be the way that I work.
Yeah, and it seems like for me, every book writes itself a little differently because of the crime and the characters, and so it's not like there's a consistency that way. But yeah, like you say, I mean, you have notes. I take notes after the fact more, so then I'll get to a spot and it's like, I really should introduce this character earlier. I really should introduce a clue earlier, or something. So then I'll go back and insert that. But yeah, it's more like this happened in this chapter. This happened in this chapter. Kind of take notes after the fact.
Same thing. Taking the notes and working them. The one thing I found is, two aspects. I pick up a lot of information from casual stories someone's telling me. Oftentimes just a funny incident, maybe not involving them, but someone else. I think that would be good. It's just a sort of a subplot thing. The other aspect of that is invariably when someone says, what you should put in your book, and I think, no, this is exactly what I don't want to use. So just.
And Alan, you have used contemporary things, and for me, Winnebago County is sort of insulated from the rest of the world as far as anything that's going on out there. I was asked, somebody said, are you going to write anything about COVID? And I went, nope, but that's just me, I mean, with the crimes, we're just focused on nothing else that's going out in the world or anywhere else. It's just we're focused on this particular crime or series of incidents. Yep.
I still haven't changed from this, but my thought with COVID was there's so many negative things about all our experiences that I've only lightly touched on it in two books written at that time. Otherwise, I've stayed away from it.
When you say, I mean, I try to keep them timeless in a way. I mean, obviously you have to keep up with your technology and that kind of thing, but try to keep them as timeless as possible within this range of years or whatever. But yeah.
My biggest time spent is in research.
Oh, yes.
Tremendous amount of time in research. And, you know, my current theme is censorship and book banning.
Okay.
And I have been troubled with trying to find out how it's going to end, and it came to me the other night, or again between 2 and 4 in the morning, as to how it's going to end.
Oh,
and it's made things much easier going forward. Then I just have to plot out my various subplots.
But I mean, you're right about research. I mean, I know the police procedural part, you know, but there's all these aspects of things. When I was going through, I'm reformatting my first 3 snow globes, and looking through, you know, like I forgot all those details, you know, from 10 years ago. And just for example, cyanide. Well, you don't really. Had done a lot of research on cyanide, and you're not really thinking about, you know, the fact that you can use it for glass etching and its chemicals and all these different sources of it. So that can give you, you know, different ways to make different people look guilty, you know. But something like that comes out in your research.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about today's world in researching is, you know, with a couple of clicks of the keys, there's a ton of information out there. Just incredible.
I used to spend a lot of time at the library, you know, looking up different things.
Of course, if you're dealing with poisons, you can just check with Putin. And,
there you go. Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, that's scary,
sadly,
isn't it?
but unfortunately true. Well, we have a minute and a half left. So, summing up, what would you like to say?
Boy, I guess I could just say how much I appreciate what you do for writers and with your other program too. And it's been so fun to meet you and to see you at the Minnesota Mystery Night. And all 3 of us will be in St. Michael on April 20th with our books. We're having Twin Sisters in Crime is partnering with the St. Michael Friends of the Library to have this book fest. So that'll be on April 20th from 10 to 3, have a panel first, and then we'll all be there with our books.
And Mike?
Well, first of all, Alan, thank you for having us. This has been wonderful. And I'll be in St. Michael too, so it'll be great. I'm looking
You'll
forward
also
to
be
it.
in Rosemont in...
No, I'll be in Dublin
Rosemont
at that time, so I'm going to miss out on Rosemont. Otherwise, I'd love to be there.
In March, I'm not sure of the date, but in March. And I thank you both for coming in.
Thank you very much.
This is always educational for me. So there's a selfish motivation to it.
Well, it's so fun to hear what other authors do for their process and where, you know, get your ideas and develop them.
And how they do it.
Right.
And for the people watching, it's very educational. You've been watching Writer's Corner. We'll be back with you next month. Alan Miller signing off for Mike Faricy and Christine Husom.
Thanks, everybody.